Welcome everyone to another exciting episode of Noble Gaming. Today we're going to be looking at a game between two Platinum players, Zerg versus Terran, Duracell versus Cassidon. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, unless there's like a funny pronunciation like K-Sidon. Whatever. Anyway, so Zerg versus Terran on Shakuras Plateau. We're going to be following the Zerg player. This is a relatively long game, so I'm actually looking forward to seeing what happens here. Oh god. I have it on faster. Okay, so not too much damage has been done, but that was sort of a weird way to start it off. Alright, so we're back to normal speed. As we can see, the Zerg player hasn't gone for any early cheese. That is to say a 10 pool or a 12 pool or something like that. And Zerg's just gonna Zerg, you know. He's just droning up right now and starting to think about his expansion because his money's getting a little bit higher. Let's see. So, as you can see, the SCV wasn't trying to deny that expansion. One thing Terran can do, which is just truly infuriating to a Zerg player, is to throw down an engineering bay or supply depot right where the hatchery goes. So the Zerg player gets his hatchery down uncontested, and now he's starting to do a spawning pool because every time a Zerg expands is when he's very, very susceptible to being attacked. So it's important that once you think about expansion, the next most important thing is thinking about keeping that expansion alive, because it's truly a waste of money if it just dies right after you throw it up. Alright, as you can see, the Overlord is positioned reasonably well at the top right. I'm just going to go quick on it, see where it is. So he, for example, if a Marine was right here, he would probably get away with about half health at this point, but he's sending him more to the back, which is a good idea. And I'm going to go back to the player view. Actually, I'm not, because I think he's sending his Overlord in a funny direction. Okay, so the hatchery's almost done. Zergling speed is a little bit far away, and one thing I want to emphasize for Zerg, one of the most important things, there's a lot of important skills you need to have as a Zerg. You need to be able to macro and micro efficiently, but most importantly I would say is scouting, because it's very easy for Zerg to have an amazing unit composition that counters your army very effectively if they know what army you are coming with. For example, if you're a very marine heavy army, a good Zerg should have banelings prepared for you, or infestors prepared to deal with you. If you're doing, you know, for example, heavy marine siege tank, the Zerg army should just be a lot of Zerglings and a lot of banelings, and maybe some mutalisks as well. Or whatever your unit composition is, the Zerg should have a better composition to deal with it if they scout. And that's the whole challenge of playing Zerg, is that you have to have good macro, you have to have good micro, but you also have to have very good map awareness, because you want to. Oh, he does pretty well with avoiding getting food blocked. I'm just gonna, before I keep going down, Zerg player this gas is getting a little bit high. I'm not sure why he's doing that, whether he's gonna go for a quick layer or he's just building up for future Zerg units. He's just putting away, you know, 10% of every. I got nothing. Anyway, saving up for that education fund. Okay, so as we can see, Hellion is coming to the middle. You can just tell that by how fast the dot's moving on the minimap. And as you get better at StarCraft 2, you stop focusing on your main display and start looking a lot more at your minimap, because it has all the important information. It just doesn't have the awesome graphics. So Hellions are going to be establishing map control, and so the main concern is that when Hellions are on the map, you know your expansion is going to be in trouble, and you absolutely want to stop run-bys from happening. And I do want to comment that the Zerg player, I really like this sort of tower defense-y shape positioning, because you do need the Evo chambers, and they're well positioned right now to prevent Hellion harass. So, queens off the creep, never a good idea. With that many queens, I feel like he should just have one queen dedicated to creep tumors. We'll see if he does that, or if he forgets to do larva injects, because that's one thing that is easy to forget when you're under pressure, is to do larva injects, when arguably when you're under pressure, larva injects are more important than ever. So As we can see, the Zerg player is doing exactly what he should right now. He's getting a lot of drones, as many as he can. He's making a spore crawler, which I'm not too sure of because, again, this comes down to scouting. The Terran has expanded, but he hasn't shown many units on the field, so he could just be trying to quick tech up to Starport. I suppose I could look at the production tab, but it feels like cheating to me. I'm just trying to avoid looking at it, except for the Zerg, for the most part. Let's see. So, I usually play at like 35 average APM, so it's like... It's funny to me that it goes from that to, you know, 50 for each player to, you know, the hundreds or 200s in professional play. Anyway, okay, so, yeah, what Zerg should be doing is you want to delay making units for as long as you reasonably can, and that's why having a Zergling right outside the Terran base would be important. However, with Hellions, that does make it more challenging. But yeah, the idea is that you want to drone up as much as you possibly can until your bases are both saturated, so you can just start pumping out units. And what you want to do is just like tech up as much as you can and make units when you're forced to make units. Oh god, why am I not following that? Okay, so the Queen's getting beat up a little bit. She's trying to lure them into spine crawlers, which is a reasonable idea. Zerg is trying to go for a bit of this round. Terran player just forgot about his macro, was looking somewhere else, or forgot about his micro I should say, and lost a bunch of units. Same thing happened again. That is one thing I've noticed with Hellions, is that they're very micro dependent. They're a terrible unit to deal with if you have the micro. They're like ground mutalisks basically. Anyway, important note, I just saw it, is the Zerg player is getting this infestation pit, which means that he won't have mutalisks, which are you know, they're can be useful versus Terran, but not as useful as against Protoss. And it allows him to tech up to hive faster, if that's what he decides to do. However, I want to say he should be a little concerned at this point, just because it seems like the Zerg macro has been slipping a little bit, just based on the numbers at the top right. If we look at the unit tab, Terran is about equal with drones, so... let's look at the spending actually. Okay, so that probably explains it. So the economy and technology of the Zerg is decent, but he's starting to get to that point where if he falls a production cycle or two behind in terms of army to his opponent, he could be in trouble of just, you know, losing the whole game. Just if like a big push comes and he's like busy trying to queue up because he's fallen behind, he could be in a lot of trouble. However, he's doing a good job with creep spread, and he does have the one queen dedicated to that. A few Zerglings just chilling out, not much to do. I would argue that if you have idle units, you might as well break down some destructible rocks to your advantage on your side, so it blocks your opponents, for example, and leaves your bed of rocks open. So, as you can see, a lot of infestors are coming out for the Zerg player, and that's sort of a big deal because there's nothing worse to deal with than reasonably well managed infestors with a lot of energy, because they can just carve your army up, and it's difficult to come up with a... Well, I guess Terran can just EMP them, which is funny because what an easy solution, but normally speaking, like, if you just have a giant ball of units, infestors are great at punishing that. One thing I do want to point out is that I got this mod that really brings out the colors of units, and it just looks gorgeous. It's glorious. Okay, so we have the third base that's just getting saturated now for the Zerg player. It's getting 2/2 upgrades, I believe. Yeah, or well, maybe just for melee. So his Zerglings are going to be really powerful, but his range are going to be a little crappier. But as you can see, like, his army is really small at this point. I mean, this is... Look at his units. He has 5 Zerglings, 8 Banelings, 5 Infestors to deal with 4 Siege Tanks, 4 Marauders, and 43 Marines, and 2 Ghosts. And he doesn't know this because he hasn't scouted very effectively, as you can see. Well, just as I say that. So he has a changeling on the field, which is awesome. One great idea is to stick the Marine to another Marine, so it just automatically follows him around. So as you can see, he sees the size of this dude's army, and he's just like, wow, he should be starting to make units very soon. Or drone up, that works too. So he's getting a hive, so he's gonna have hive tech. So the choice is Ultralists or Broodlords. He doesn't have a Spire yet, so I would argue Broodlords would probably be better. Oh, 2 Marines clearing out that Zerg thing. But yeah, like this is a scary composition to deal with because it's a very basic force. Like the Marines are easy to kill, but they do a lot of damage if you can hit them. And just between dodging with stim packs and everything. Great creep spread, by the way. I just want to highlight this, that Zerg players tend to just forget at one point or another that they're supposed to be doing this because it's intimidating as shit for your opponent to see. The whole map's covered with awareness, I guess. Since that's basically what creep represents. But yeah, let's see what's going on. But yeah, this is a scary army because 1-1 upgrades, Marauders are great with dealing with roaches, and they take forever to kill Zerglings if you don't have a nice surround. And that Changeling is just going to freak everyone out pretty soon by just exploding in front of everyone. Can you imagine that? You're like, alright guys, we're getting ready to push out. The Zerg doesn't know what's going to hit them. Blah, blah! Like that, come on, these guys have to be like, see something out of the corner of their eye from the side, and then a puddle of goo where the Changeling once was. Anyway, so Zerg is doing a reasonably good job, I'd say. However, I do feel that he should be doing a bit more harassment, or he should be preparing traps for like just like a few banelings, like 1 or 2 places where a lot of banelings are. So as soon as the Terran army moves out, boom, casualties. Very demoralizing. His Queen Injects, I want to say, are falling a bit behind, maybe? No, actually, he's been doing a good job with his Queen Injects. I take that back. I apologize. The energy's still relatively low in the Queens. That's good enough at Platinum League. Good enough for European Platinums. Okay, so Terran's getting his 3rd base up. I want to say this is scary because Terran is truly terrifying once they have a large number of production buildings underway. Because as Zerg, unless you you know what you're doing, it's very demoralizing to just look at this food difference. Sorry, I just want to point this out. There's like a 62 food difference, and that's a big deal. Of course, you know, granted a few banelings can change all that, but I'm mostly just concerned with Miss Q. Just keeping... This is like Clifford. Clifford the Ultralisk is just guarding over there. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Huh. Because Ultralisk really deals very effectively with that. Of course, if he kept the Queen alive, that would have been better, but... that is an expensive guard dog, though, which is a problem. Come on, Ultra, you have nothing to fear. Except Marine and Sea. Pew, 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 pew. See how this works out. Oh, that's damage. Yeah, I'm not sure what the Terran player is doing there. That was poorly planned, I would say. But it's good that the Marine players tend to harass. Like, harassment is really important to do. And, ooh, Broodlords as well. This is going to be a dirty army composition for the Terran player to deal with. That is one bad thing, is if you just sit back and let the Zerg just macro up, oh man, that is bad to deal with. That is not a fun time. However, one sec. I had to sneeze there. Yeah, Infestor, we'll see how this works out. And, provoking the attack. Let's see how this goes. Oh, that one range is like, oh god! Just died. So, siege tanks are right there. Scans going down frequently for the Terran player. And, ooh, as you can see, this Bane is doing a great job just cutting down Terran Marines. So, I feel like he should be edging towards his opponent with the Broodlings. Good creep spread still by the Queen. I like the alternative pathing, where it's like, alright, you want to take down my middle stuff? Doesn't matter. Check Testa. Just go in a different direction. So let's see. Really, right now, I think this is a big force. Like, this is a big hammer of Zerg, and I feel that Zerg should really start be pressing the advantage because it is counterable. Broodlords, Ultralists, the big units of Zerg are very much defeated by Mass Ghost, which is a common transition for lanes, not lanes, Terrans, in late game. And this is turning into late game because it's starting to hit the 21-minute mark. Both players have been fairly unharassed, so they've been having a chance to build up the best units they can. More infestors speed up. Oh no, the precious creep spread. Get him! Get him! Yeah! Get him! Alright, so the Zerg... I just want to see what Duracell's looking at. Look at that changeling, so indiscreet. I didn't know there was a marine posted out here. Why aren't you saying anything? Notice that these hatcheries do have a lot of larvae, as you can see. There's so many that they are literally killing each other when they pop out. Just maybe overheating each other. Like a pizza pocket. And just... So, this is the problem with Zerg. If you... Yeah, nice. I like this minus. This is the problem though, is that Zerg have two choices, or just really one choice, until they get minus or drops, and that's to file directly into the alien death cannons, clogging them with wreckage. And lots of siege tanks are truly terrible to deal with. Okay, so they're going to trade bases right now. Does he have burrow? Oh god, I hope he has burrow for those infestors, because that's really going to hurt. Okay, so he does. That's excellent. So he takes down that base. He knows that base is up. Ooh. That's never fun to deal with. Having to check your entire... Oh, never fun. So as you can see, that's sort of like the danger of having infestors, is that if you're not carefully microing them, you just lose everything. Like that. Because as you saw, those infestors just face planted directly into the enemy's direction, and or into the enemy's death cannons. And yeah, that was a really terrible exchange for the Zerg, because infestors are very powerful, but they're very much a harassment unit, or they're a poking unit. They're not like a direct engagement like Ultralists or Roaches. Okay, so nuclear launch detected. So you have to figure out where it's happening, which you don't know, and that's a problem. Because, you know, a nuke's gonna come down very soon. Ouch. Goodbye, minerals, my old friend. Yeah. As you can see, I think the Terran's very far ahead at this point, and I would be very surprised if Zerg won, just because Terran's being very efficient with his exchanges. I mean, he really punished the Zerg for just blindly throwing his infestors in with the rest of his army towards the siege tanks. He should have, as soon as he got those broodlords, he should have been trying to push in to attack them. Like, you never just hang back with broodlords, because it's not like they're an invincible unit. You can counter them, like we do with a lot of what's it called? I want to say Valkyrie. I always want to say Valkyrie, but I know that's not it. It's, oh, it's usually a good job. It's good. Oh, no. Ouch. Okay, still, the food differential. He really needs to get bases mining, because with that attack, he lost 2 bases. No, 3 bases, basically, because he lost all the... Oh, 4? Oh, wow. Because he hit the bottom right, and then he hit the, like the 4 o'clock position, and then he took out the 3rd base close, like, right next to the natural. Well, he took out this base, right? Because he nuked it, and then he nuked this one as well. So he literally hit 4 bases worth of mining material, and that's sort of unacceptable as Zerg. I mean, that's all your economy. It's sort of unacceptable for any race. These Terran are monsters. They're just like, oh, infestors face checking. So banelings aren't the best counter to siege tanks. Not the most efficient, I should say. And yeah, as you can see, like, Zerg is just getting drained, basically. He's just getting strangled out. He just doesn't have the economy anymore. Oh, that has to be so demoralizing to hear. You're just like, okay, I got 3 infestors, 3 broodlords, a few corruptors, and Vikings. That was the one, not Valkyrie, Vikings. Yeah, so, you just need a bunch of those to counter broodlords. You need ghosts, maybe, if you want to go that way. It's not impossible by any means. It's just challenging to get messed up. As you can see, the ghosts are starting to come out for Terran, and just 1 EMP on those infestors. Yeah, so as you can see, the poor Nidus is just sort of grinding away. Oh god, broodlings. Ooh, that one epic day for that one marine. Okay, so this is sort of a bit of an all-in. Yeah, this isn't gonna end well. Just saying. That's just too many marines. You just run forward and do hello! Yeah, they don't need marines, it's just... Marines are just sitting back. They're like, you know what, man, I earned my future. Oh, Duracell, you're so angry. Okay, so let's just recap this game. What went horribly wrong? Okay, 1, Zerg fell behind somehow on the macro. I'm not sure how. Like, if all you're making is drones and teching up, like, your food should be at least comparable to your opponent, because every drone you make in turn makes you more money, which in turn allows you to expand more. And that's the danger of Zerg, is that they're supposed to get really crazy towards the end just because they have so much stuff. Like, they're just making so much money and they're just dedicated purely to military units, and that stuff's good. 2, don't sit back when you have ultras and broodlords. You want to immediately start shutting down your opponent's expansions and not just sitting at the middle of the map. Like, I would say just like you crawl your broodlords forward, you go for siege tanks, and just run away at the slightest sign of danger, because what you want is the marines to run after you so you can just fungal the crap out of them, or force them to produce a lot of Vikings, and you can either deal with those with fungals or hydralisks or queens or whatever you want to do. But what you don't do is sit in the middle of the map, because it's more, I want to say that's what Terran does. Terran's more turtly, and then they just reach out and try to crush you, either with harassment or with a giant push of their whole army. And see, that's the thing with Terran and Protoss. They very much rely on keeping their whole army together, while Zerg very much depends on the opposite. They depend on being able to effectively split up their army to attack different points simultaneously, but then regroup to attack en masse. And it's very difficult to coordinate, but it's it almost seems like overpowered when you do see it. Okay, so I'd say right around the 3rd is when the Zerg player started to lose it. He wasn't really trying to attack Terran at all. He just sort of waited to get crushed, and his exchanges were very inefficient. The infestors were... I sort of want to rewind to that one point where he just face palmed right into the whole army. Oh, no, it must have been later. It was pretty bad. Infestors are pretty expensive, and like they are a very delicate unit. They have feelings, you know. You just call them the morning after, they get really hurt. Go on, fast forwarding thing. Okay, so let's watch this. You have a gigantic army and retreating infestors like banelings. Like, this easily could have killed the Terran army had he not just A-moved directly into it. Like, what he could have done was just... Oh man. And this is while he was losing his base. Dude, nuclear bombs. Ouch. But yeah, so what he should have done is, rather than just rushing right into the alien death cannons, go from this base, take down this base, pull back to your middle to keep your bases alive, and then just try to shut down these nuclear bomb. Okay, where's this laser? Let's see this. Because it's here, right? This is where the bomb's coming down. I demand to know where this nuclear bomb is coming down. Where's that laser? matter? No? Oh, you got it? I know there's a nuclear bomb that comes here. Note here, don't ever send Zerglings to a Nidus Canal. They're supposed to be really fast so they can just, like, he could have just run by. This is just lazy. He could have just been like, bam, 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 bam. But, like, Nidus is for roaches, basically, because roaches are, they need more help. Like, there's less of them by nature. And, like, for me, I think an ideal number for Nidus is, like, 8 or 10 roaches. And that's it. Yeah, because like, there's like this queue up, right? You never want to like risk having your units just catch up. What's up, guys? I'm one of you, totally. I was just here and I wasn't shooting at it, just cuz. Crazy world, right? And these guys are just like, what the fuck, man? What do we do with this? So yeah, like this is decent. This is what Zerg should have been trying to do the whole time. See, this is the thing with Terran. This is their strong point. Like, if you can take their natural, they're in a lot of trouble. So it really just becomes about denying that third, this third, fourth, fifth, sixth, whatever. Just denying bases. That's the most important thing. And you have to figure out how you're going to do that. So that's the reason you scout. Is every one of these units has a weakness. And, like, for example, lots of Marines, lots of Banelings and Zerglings, lots of Vikings, Mutalist, Corruptor, Siege Tanks, Zerglings can deal with that. Yeah, and that's really all you need. But it's the importance of scouting. Like, if you don't scout, you're dead. It's just as important as good macros in my opinion. Oh, go Infester! Go Infester! Oh god! Oh god! And yeah. But Terran did a really good job of nuking and keeping down the mining of the Zerg player. Zerg player didn't. Oh, that was it. There was the nuclear bomb. Ouch. Yeah. At this point, they were just dead. But yeah, it was a great match. I really enjoyed watching that. I think the Terran player did a very good job. Zerg did a good job, but could have done better. And was just really somehow falling behind in the macro. But yeah, GG's. Hope you enjoyed watching.